The board will reconvene in open session at 9:47 p.m. Board would like to see if we can move on item 7, number 7, item B, letter B, in front of letter A, the safety report. If we can get unanimous consent for that.
Agree.
Agree.
Mr. Clay, Curtis.
At least once every 3 years in the state of Texas, our school districts have to conduct a school safety and security audit. We conducted that audit, my team and I, with Empowered Act, conducted that audit from April the 17th through the 21st. We were here with the district. We reported the findings to the board of directors this evening in the closed session, but would like to share a little bit about the process in the open session of the board meeting as well. There are 4 key components to a comprehensive school safety and security audit, where we're actually going through each one of the facilities, both instructional facilities and non-instructional facilities, and we're basically looking at the potential hazards, threats, and/or vulnerabilities on those campuses and within those departments. We'll go both on the inside of those facilities and, of course, the exterior. We'll also look at data and documentation, which will include reviewing the emergency operations plans, drill logs, door sweep logs, site maps, floor maps, and all those things as well. Another key component is a climate and culture survey, where you're getting a feel for the district as far as students and staff, and as far as how they feel about the safety and security of a particular campus. And that's a part of that process. And those are the 4 key components involved in the comprehensive school safety and security audit. Again, it's mandated once every 3 years, at least once every 3 years, looking for those hazards, threats, and vulnerabilities. That climate survey, again, typically speaking, we will survey students in grades 4 through 12. That information from that audit is really submitted to the Texas School Safety Center through the DAR, the District Audit Report, and that information has to be submitted by September the 15th. The information, I believe, has been submitted today for Texas, for Taylor ISD as well, so ahead of the schedule on that also. Again, we reported the findings, recommendations to the board of directors, and also commendations as well. Pretty much covered that with the written report, the climate survey. Okay, I'm just ahead of the game, all right? All right, very well. If there are any questions or concerns or thoughts about the process, certainly we'll try and answer them those as well.
Any questions, Tristan? Clay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
We'll move back to item A, Main Street Elementary Design and Bond update. In fact,
Good evening. Give y'all an update on the 2022 bond program. So as many of you have probably seen, phase 1 is currently under construction and about to completion. We've got about a week and a half of work before that's completed. So if you've been around any of the schools in the last few months, you've seen a lot of work. New playground going in back here, and flooring and painting. Moving on to phase 2, we're currently in the planning process. 50% construction documents have been issued to the contractor for pricing feedback, and we're expecting to have a permit set August 15th, which will be the bid set that Drymall will use to create a GMP price. So that'll be for Main Street Edition and the high school CTE, which will be starting pending the GMP and approval. That'll be starting early fall. Phase 3, we've just received the design development documents, which Drymall is currently pricing for budgeting purposes. each of these phases, they do a budget to kind of check design, make sure that we're still on track, and we're designing within the budget that was already set at the outset of the bond. So that budget helps inform the design moving on to the next step if we need to make adjustments, pull things back to keep things in budget. So they're working on pricing that design development set right now for phase 3, which is pretty significant. It's T.H. Johnson Elementary, Posman Elementary, Taylor Middle School. So that's currently in design as well. So here's an updated schedule. Just shows where we're tracking in each of the phases right now. You'll see phase 2 and phase 3 construction are going to carry on out starting this fall. So moving on, we've got all of our budgets starting at the program summary. So the high level summary of the total bond. This is a breakdown summary chart. I'm not going to go through every category unless y'all have any questions. We can kind of cycle through these. I think y'all have the packet. But if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me or ask to go back.
Are there any significant variances or anything that you see that are worth voicing over?
No, not right now. We're within budget on everything. Phase 1 is tracking right within the GMP budget. And right now, the pricing exercises we've been doing at each phase. So 50% CDs just came back for phase 2, and we're within a few percent of where we need to be. So we feel comfortable that moving forward. Now, I will say certain trades are tracking pretty high escalation in this area right now. Electrical and concrete are tracking very, very high right now. Yeah, and we're seeing that across the board on some other projects. So, we're kind of bringing that to the table and asking everyone to, try and pull some design back to make sure that we're accounting for that escalation that we might see on bid day. But we should be aware that that's coming down the pipe, for sure.
Mr. Buzan, I have to give project control, working with Stantec and Drymala, a lot of credit. Mr. Mullins' leadership in helping eliminate costs has been significant. So far, have we touched contingency a little bit in order to make these costs?
On phase 1?
Phase 1.
Phase 1, so we had allotted owner's contingency on each building. And so, yes, we did move a portion of that contingency into the project. It's always a balancing act. We don't want to get to the end of the bond and have money that we didn't spend and say we wish we would have done that. So, we do try and allocate that owner's contingency on each phase and have that in the project. And there's been a few things in phase 1 that have come up, a few extra things that weren't in the original scope that Lance has asked Price, and we've had room within that owner's contingency to add those items back in. You start construction and then you start to see things that you thought, oh man, I wish I would have done that. So we've actually had the room to do that and use that contingency.
Are these going to be posted on our website under the bond page? Or
Are these currently posted? I know the other bond update is.
The other bond update is on there, but we could have these slides posted on there too.
I'd like to have it, anytime we get an update, all the new information go on the website, so that way
Sure.
we can direct community members, hey, check that, we just received an update, please check the district website.
Yeah. And a lot of these you'll see as you go on back. I mean, some of the summary sheets, there's not much cost there because we haven't started on those buildings yet. So if there's no other questions on the budget pricing, we can move forward. There's a couple of.
I have a question, Mark.
Yes, Cheryl.
So maybe not directly with the budget, but just any kind of, and most of us have been through a build, but change orders or different things, at what money amounts, or when do we know about things that are happening, or any kind of changes?
So the owner's contingency line, so we've budgeted for contingency in the bond. And so at each phase, when we write the GMP, we actually move a portion of that contingency into the GMP as an allowance. And so if things come up, we can actually use the allowance money to cover the change. So it's not actually a change to their contract. Their contract isn't growing. It's within the GMP. So contractually, Lance has the right to approve any requests by the contractor that come out of that allowance, as long as it stays within the contract, the original contract amount.
And that answers that, and to go one step further, just the change itself as far as what's actually happening, that's going through Lance and then reported over here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Lance signs off on all of those.
Any other questions regarding the budget?
We can move forward. There's a few slides with some updated images. So here's a couple of images of Posman, significant paint and flooring that's happened over at Posman. T.H. Johnson, same thing. It's amazing how brighter the buildings look now with some new paint and flooring.
Can you do LED lighting for buildings?
No, that has not been in phase one scope.
But later, you know,
So it's good for later.
it'll really burn.
Oh, yeah, that'll make sense, especially like over here with the.
Some, Posman is some lighter colors, some more pastel colors, and then Posman is a little bit more primary colors.
For a beach floor?
I mean, is it supposed to be like a calming type effect? I'm just thinking.
I can't speak for design. Stantec is going to be presenting next, and they could speak into design. Yeah. But we did have some community meetings when we picked out interior colors and those sort of things. So we did bring some community members in. They saw. Yeah. So they had the flooring samples with alongside the paint colors, and we went through different options. And so yeah, there was community input in that. Yes, Dr. Padaville did a great job bringing in community members to those discussions. Yeah.
Yes, Cheryl.
I know we're talking about asking community members, did we ask principals? Okay, I'm just making sure that y'all know best about your kids and what the effects and everything, so.
Y'all are happy, I'm happy. What I was seeing was like,
Ms. Volek, we have, even this summer, taken some principal input and made some adjustments.
There was one or two colors that
I'm
were.
not gonna play in the weeds. I just wanted to ask the question.
Dr. Padaville, would there be opportunities, just like when a trustee wants to go visit a campus, we notify the principal and you as well that we want to go visit that campus? Is there opportunities for trustees, and I don't know at what stage these are, where if a trustee can go and have like a short tour, or, of the facilities, because I know some instances they may need to require a hard hat or something like that, or some safety equipment, so.
Absolutely, it'd be possible. And
Those options are available to you guys, just make sure you go through Dr. Padaville.
sure. If you'd like, after this board meeting, we can walk right up.
Yeah, I know the construction team would be Stantec's going to present next on MSE design.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Wadisek and Ms. Paver, thank you
Hello, good evening.
tonight.
Thank you.
We're glad to be here. Thanks for having us. Just to give the board quick overview, I saw all of you back when we were working on EdSpecs. We're here as a team just to reassure the group kind of how we transition through these phases as we are moving a little bit out of schematic design more towards DD and CD. Some of our job roles will start to shift. For example, instead of working on EdSpecs, really my job role will be to ensure that we have all of our bases covered, so you have people from multiple offices that are coming in. Rachel's been doing a great job on MSE as far as our updates, so she's going to walk you through that. But for the team that is here, you have definitely have Amber out of our Austin office and Rachel's out of our Austin office. I come in weekly to support from the Houston office, and then we have Renee coming in weekly from the Plano office to help make sure that everything is moving forward. Dr. Padaville's been great about providing us with those meeting times to get the feedback. We'll definitely acknowledge that there was a paint color that went on the wall that once we all looked at it, we were like, this is not going to fly. I think we kind of all walked it and we're like, let's try something different. So we definitely want to catch those things early. If it's possible for you all to walk, I would encourage you to do that just so you could give some feedback. If there's anything, it's quicker for us to make changes now than when we get farther in. So let us know if we can do any of that. I'll turn it over to Rachel to talk through this.
Thank you, Meredith. Good evening, everyone. So I'm happy to give you all an update on the design for Main Street Elementary Phase 2. Do you mind switching the slides? Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to start off with the site plan here. So just to orient ourselves, to the south is Main Street. And all of the white, that is all of the existing school and the existing event center. And that yellow or orange color is the new additions. The new addition is really all on the east side of the current buildings. You might notice that there's also some new pavement that's being put to the east side of the new addition. Do you mind going to the next slide, please? So part of phase 2 is trying to update the parent drive and the bus drive. So to the north in the pink, that is the bus drive. So they will enter in on Mallard Lane, and then they'll go towards the new addition, circle around, and exit back out on Mallard Lane. That area highlighted in pink, that is the new portion of pavement that's being added for that turnaround and also for that entry into the new addition. And if you look south of the existing building in the addition, in purple is the parent drive. So the idea is that they enter in on Mallard Lane, and then they will circle back around and exit on Main Street. Also, those purple colors, the highlighted areas, that is also new pavement that's being installed there. Something to point out that a lot of time for the first time people coming here, it can be kind of hard to know where the main entry is. So there's a lot of things they're trying to do in this design that respond to that. And part of that is adding that new little leg. So if you see that new portion of roadway that's really connecting to the main entry, so now the parents can actually drop off right in front of that main entry, and it makes it just a little easier to know where to go. It also adds more room for the parents to line up as well. Sure.
So on that right there, when you exit back onto Main Street on the east side, is that going to be a right turn only?
I think it is a right turn only. I think you're correct. Yes. I think you're correct.
The right turn only.
I think it is.
One of those are not posted. I think it's that one.
The area the exit is.
I had a question on the slide as well.
Sure.
Kim,
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
That's two-way traffic for the buses,
Yes.
and the turnaround's going to be large enough where they'd be able to navigate that.
Yes. So it's all sized for buses, absolutely. So, and we're actually, it's hard to see here, but there's a little piece of that roadway right where they enter in that's highlighted. So we're gonna expand that a little bit because it is a little too narrow for buses to drive by. So we've looked at all of that. Any other questions? Oh,
Real quick, sure. Where is the playground going on that area back there?
so the new playground where you see the existing school, that middle square, it's right to the north of that. That is part of phase 1. It's currently being installed now, so you might be able to check it out in the next week, so that's exciting.
Thing is that.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So zooming into the plan a little bit, I'm going to start with the green area. So that's really to show the area that we're going to be putting some maintenance into the existing roof. So those 2 existing buildings will get some maintenance there. As far as the interior of the building, there's some very minor renovation, and it's really just things such as fixtures and sizing things for elementary school students, because right now it's really sized for high school students. So not a lot of renovation on the interior. The green's more so to show the new roof or the maintenance to the existing roofing. And then to the right, of course, we have our new addition in the yellow, and that lighter tan color, that is all new canopy. So we have some new canopy to the south, and then to the north there, you see that little T-shape. The T-shape is serving the bus drop-off area, so they're protected from the weather there on that side. On the south side, I've highlighted the entries here. So the main entry is that pink arrow, and we'll look at this, what it's looking like in renders in a couple slides here, but the idea is to encourage people and really guide them to that front entry and also give the students more space to wait and line up there. Next slide, please. So zooming in even further to the new addition. So I'll just walk you through the floor plan real quick. So there's 2 ways to enter in, at least in this portion of the plan. You can enter in on the main entry, and you can walk through the corridor to the right to the new addition. And then we also have the entry to the south of the new addition, which is right next to the dining that you see there, and then to the north, which is right off of the bus entry. So those are really the 3 main entries for the new addition. So once you walk in the vestibule, to the right is dining, and then to the north of that is the gym. And between the 2, we have a platform, which is really a smaller size stage. So it's not a full-size stage, it's a smaller scale. We also have the new boys and girls restroom. And something to note there, and something that we talked through with some of the teachers, is having access to the dining, the gym, and also to that main corridor. So a teacher is able to stand in that main corridor and really see into those restrooms and see if they need to assist at the sink areas. Once again, in the middle platform restrooms, we also have some back of house, such as storage, IDF closets, some chair storage as well in the center area. And then to the right is the kitchen and serving area. The serving and kitchen is really directly next to the dining. And then to the north of that rectangle to the right is kind of the back of house kitchen area. So storage, walk-in coolers, lockers, all the things that the staff really needs for that kitchen to function. And directly next to that, we have the new service yard. So they have direct access to the kitchen for any kind of deliveries, and the dumpsters as well. So direct access to that as well. And you get a little bit closer view to those canopies highlighted in the light tan color. So this is what it's starting to look like. So there's a couple things that we're trying to accomplish here. One, we want people to know that it's the main entry. I know I keep saying that, but that's actually very important in this design. And the other thing is to give the existing school a little bit of a facelift and also give it a little bit of a pop of color. It is an elementary school. It's young children. We like color. We like fun things for that kind of stuff. So part of that idea, so we went through a couple different design options, and we landed on playing with the columns and having these angled, more playful columns. They will also be green, of course. We have to have some green. And then in a mix with that, to add some warmth, we have the wood soffit above. So that is not actual wood. it would be aluminum that looks like wood, so you get that warmth without the maintenance that is required for wood. We also have some small benches there, so it kind of creates a little bit of a gathering space. And you can notice when you're looking at that new addition, that entry really stands out. It's slanted, it's got a higher volume, it's really telling you to enter into the school. And then if you look further into that render, we have a connecting walkway there that's covered as well that connects that main entry and it connects the new addition. Next, please. So this is, oh yeah.
Sorry again. So the big oak trees, like you gotta get rid of those?
So there will be one, as of right now that I know of, only one needs to be removed. So, and I think, you know, the oak trees are beautiful, so we're trying to save them as much as possible. But I think it makes a huge difference to have that road go in front of the main entry. I think that's a big issue as to why it's hard to know where it's at. And it also makes it safer for the students because now they're getting dropped directly off at that entry at the sidewalk. But yes, good point, at least one tree. So we have, this is the entry into the new dining area. So once again, you know, this entry is still gonna be used for some after-hour events, so we still wanna celebrate the entry, but just on a little bit smaller scale. So we still have the playful green columns, and then that warmer wood look soffit at the main entry. It's just not at such a large scale. We also have the playful columns in the front of the new addition, and to also call towards the entry and to bring in some natural light to the dining space, we have that L-shaped glass that's really starting to wrap that front entry. And I know you're probably thinking this is a lot of glass, security, we're always thinking of those things. So for that glass, it will have security film, and it also will have an opaque film that goes to door height level. So if anyone's on, you know, from the roadway, or if you're even driving along the parent drive, you can't directly see into that space. But they're still gonna get that nice natural light feeling on the inside, which is important. And then something else on the playful note, so the building itself, the existing building, it's pretty repetitive. It has the windows, it has the brick, and then the thing that really stands out the most is that green eyebrow. So we're starting to pull that into the new addition, but at the entries where we have that green eyebrow, instead of just one color green, we're gonna do multicolored green panels. So once again, making it more playful for the elementary students. Next slide, please. So this is the bus entry. So once again, there's some similar features happening here. So we have that glazing that is on the corner there, so the gym gets some natural light. We also have the canopy for the students to enter into the school from the bus side. And you'll notice that there's also that angled column there. So once again, every entry has that angled column. If you see that, you know you're approaching an entry. And then it's a little hard to see on the slides here, but right below that window is also those multicolored panels. Next, please. Now we're starting to look at the interior. So this is looking at the dining as if you were standing with that L-shaped entry glass right behind you. So you can see the idea here is just to pull in some elements from the exterior, which is those multicolored greens, and then some warmth with the wood, which is what you see around the stage area. Another thing that we wanted to bring in was some of the colors from phase 1. So you'll notice there's some purples and some blues in this, and those are the same colors that we're doing in phase 1 in some of the corridors. And the idea is that the dining is really that main gathering space. We're trying to kind of put all of the elements from the school within that space. And then you can see the stage area or platform. So we talked through this a lot of what we wanted this to be. And we ended up wanting it to be more of a multifunctional space. Often in an elementary, the stage is kind of a scary place. So we really brought the scale down to create something that was more welcoming. And these are just suggestive furniture pieces in there, but you could have books up there. Maybe it's another area that they can eat that's not quite your typical dining area. So just something more interactive. Next, please.
Quick question. Yeah. The floor material, what is it going to be?
That is LVT. Just multicolors. So this is looking really from the other side of the dining. So you can see there's some really nice natural light in there. And of course, we'll have that more opaque film to the bottom of the windows. Next, please. And this is looking down the main corridor. So those doors that you see towards the back are that vestibule into right off of the dining area. So once again, in the corridor, we're trying to have a little bit of playfulness with the different colored greens and then pulling in that warmth with the wood tone. There's also some playfulness not only in the flooring, but also in the tiling right next to the restrooms. And you can see how someone can stand there and really have a nice view into the sinks when children are using them. Next, please. So that is our update for Main Street Elementary. I'll open it up for any questions.
Any questions? Jim?
On the main, just looking at the layout,
Mhm.
and we have a vestibule in there, I see, but how are we gonna allow, like a main, where an office is? I don't see like an office that's right in that proximity of that entry. So if parents come in, somebody could come in.
Sure.
That safety feature where they come in and they're checked in and they're allowed in.
Sure, so we did discuss that, and really the only area that's going to have that is the main entry, so there just will have to be some coordination for any kind of after-hour events, because that's not really supposed to be used during the day, it's really more of an after-hours entrance.
Because there's that, and then you still go to the left, and that's the offices. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
So no change to where. Okay.
Mr. Miller and Mr. Buzan, in order to meet cost, we kept the front office where it was in this design. When we looked at what the Community Advisory Committee put as priorities for Main Street elementary renovations, actually moving the front office was one of their lower priorities. It had less than 60%, I think, say that there was a priority one. I don't have the charts right in front of me. So we made the decision that in order to literally save $1 million, that we would keep the front office because it was very functional in the place that it's currently at.
Yeah, no, to your point, Dr. I think it works. I think it's functional as it is.
All good questions. Any other questions, comments?
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you all very much.
All right. Reports to the Board of Trustees. Item C, review of district professional development plan.
Good evening, Mr. Ortiz, Board of Trustees. This evening, you have in your board packet a year at a glance, basically, of all of the instructional focus areas that we will be working with campuses and administrators on throughout the year, along with the accompanying state clearinghouse for all non-instructional recommended professional development expectations for district personnel. And so we will be following the clearinghouse expectations, but I wanted to give you just a little deeper glance into the instructional professional learning overview as well.
Are there any questions? I think we have it adequate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. All right, item D, agreement for the purchase of attendance credit. Jenna?
Good evening. We were notified by TEA a couple of weeks ago that we are going to be estimated to be a recapture district. The fact that we are being viewed as a recapture district is based solely on estimations. They've used 2022 values, and use that with a 4.43 increase. So these are, again, just estimates when our actual property values are going to be more around 20% increase, and based, of course, on this year's. Just to summarize what all this means, basically, we are given the foundation payments each, at least once a quarter. So this agreement will pull back any recapture amounts from that payment. That's what this agreement is. As far as the recapture, again, is based on estimates. And as a precautionary measure, we did put, we added in $300,000 for recapture to our budget. So it is considered in our budget. Any questions?
All right, any questions? I think we're good. But lo and behold, you're still up.
Yes, I am.
Item 8.
All right, so in your packets, we did have the tax collection report. Just summarizes everything that was received in the month of June. Any questions about that document? We do have the next item is the purchase approval. We are in line to pay our annual report, the annual amount for Frontline, our ERP system. It runs our finance and student side. In addition, we have 100 laptops for high school that we're planning on replacing. Part of that is going to be paid from the Samsung grant, and then any overage will be paid through 199 funds. Any questions?
Just curiosity, what do we do with the excess? You said they're replacements, so are we getting rid of?
So they currently have iPads, the high school does. Those are going to be reused at the elementary level. Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, and lastly is the investment quarterly report. And there's just absolutely a little bit of a change as far as how much we have invested because of the bond funds that are currently in our Lone Star investment pool. So you do see a second, as opposed to the last quarter, you do have a second section that shows capital projects. Any questions about that report? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda, which consists of A, the minutes of regular meeting June 19th, 2023, public hearing special meeting June 29th, 2023, item B, purchasing approval, item C, approved City of Taylor School Resource Officer Memorandum of Understanding Agreement, item D, approved Temple College MOUs, dual credit MOU, Legacy Early College High School MOU, Pathways in Technology, P-Tech Early College High School MOU. Item E, policy update 121. I'm not going to read all the policies, but they're listed below. Item F, approved district professional development plan. Item G, approved agreement for purchase of attendance credit. Are there any items that a trustee would like to remove for separate discussion from the consent agenda? If not, I'm open.
There's no removal, but correction on the regular meeting, June 19th, is Mr. Bozon, Assistant Secretary?
Yes.
It's on the meeting.
Sorry, explain.
I think it's good to go. So, if there are no changes, after reviewing the minutes, it does have Jim Buzon listed as Assistant Secretary. I'm open to a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
No, on the June 19th.
Oh, June 19th?
June 19th, yes, sir. It has, did we reorganize after June 19th? On June 19th,
June
it has.
19th is when we would have reorganized. Well, no, we reorganized the board in May.
In May, so it says Ms. Bollock is Assistant Secretary, and we're going to move it to Mr. Buzon.
I had it on the wrong date. So, I'm open to a motion to approve the consent agenda with the change of the regular meeting June 19th to show Mr. Buzon as Assistant Secretary.
So moved.
We have a motion by Meredith, second by Anita. All in favor, raise your right hand. Anyone opposed to the same? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. Item 10 is personnel items for information only. Should have had a chance to review the resignation of personnel and the election of personnel, as well as notification of election of personnel under District of Innovation. So we'll move on. Item 11, new business. That's my favorite part. A, nominate and elect 2023 TASB Convention delegate and alternate. All right. The last 2 years, I've been the delegate, so I'm ready to see something else do it. So, usually, since you have a year under your belt, have you done the delegate assembly yet? I've done it the last 2 years.
Oh, I think he did it.
Yeah. So we usually use the junior trustee on the floor.
You're not really supposed to.
Yeah. But he's got a couple of years under his belt now, or at least one. No.
I was gonna say, I don't, actually,
Okay.
Hey, look at that.
We have a delegate and a,
but I need to know when it is.
Don't hold them back for their moment to shine, Marco.
all right.
I guess I need to know when it is.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I may have done it last year. I don't know.
Oh, I did it last year.
This is just an interesting session, so this
Is it
might,
at the end of
Might.
September, or is it early October?
the end of the 29th is that Friday.
Okay, then the delegate assembly will be on that Saturday,
Oh, okay,
the 30th. You good?
I'm good.
All right.
Let me write
So-
that down before I forget.
I take it, Sherry, you're nominating yourself then?
I'll nominate
Okay.
Cheryl.
Oh, yeah, I second it.
All right.
Oh, hold on. I'm not gonna miss the first general session with McConaughey.
Oh, you won't. Anita,
You're
no.
missing those credit hours.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we have Cheryl as the delegate, nominated by Anita, second by Joe, and now we could nominate an alternate. If that's okay, I'd like to nominate Anita as the alternate. I don't think we need a second for a nomination. So we're good to go. So that being said, I'm motion to approve Cheryl Carter as the delegate for the TASB convention and Anita as the alternate.
So move. Second.
Motion by Jim, second by Shorty. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, do the same. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Cheryl, and thank you, Anita. All right. New business. Item B, approve revisions to EIC local weighted GPA. Rodriguez?
Good evening. So we, are bringing back to you an item that was up for discussion last month for a decision today regarding potentially changing the weight of our dual credit courses to align with advanced placement courses. So I've put on here just some high-level points that we discussed last time we brought this to you. Currently, our weighting of dual credit is, a dual credit course is 1.05 and AP is 1.10. And what that does is equate AP to an advanced course, where dual credit is an honors course, one level below. And just for your frame of reference, I put on there what each level translates to on a student's grade point average. So an on-level course, it's that straight value of the grade that they receive. An honors or a level 2 course, they get that grade times the 1.05, so that gives them that much of a bump added to their GPA. And the advanced level or level 3 course gives them the grade times 1.10. And so you can see the difference of those different levels of what that translates to on the student's transcript for their GPA. So again, what the revision will do is adjust the weighting of the dual credit courses to a 1.10, making them an advanced or level 3 course to align with advanced placement. So as, again, a reference for you, this is what some of the districts around us currently, how they have their courses weighted. You can see that most of them have aligned weighting for their dual credit and advanced placement courses. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. And so with that, in your board packet, we've brought a proposal for what the revised policy would look like. And of course, any changes would begin with the incoming freshman class. So anyone who was currently in high school, right, so our sophomores, juniors, and seniors, rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors, would fall under the current policy, because we wouldn't want to offset any of the courses that they've already taken. We would not be retroing any of these grades. So it would begin with our incoming freshman class.
Are there any questions?
I mean, is there a need to go through it again? I mean, how much discussion do you want?
Discussion, I mean, if you want to. Once if a motion is made and seconded, we still have a room to discuss as well. If there are no questions, the motion to approve the revisions to EIC local weighted GPA as presented. I'm going to open it one more time. The motion to approve revision of EIC local weighted GPA as presented. I'll make a motion to approve the revisions to the EIC local weighted GPA. Is there a second? Is there a second? If there no second, the motion dies for lack of a second. Thank you. Item C, approve Main Street Elementary design.
Mr. Ortiz, Stantec presented the design of Main Street Elementary Phase 2 additions earlier in the board meeting, and we are seeking the board's approval to proceed further on that design.
Should it be approved, the design as presented?
Second.
Motion by Anita to approve the Main Street Elementary design as presented, second by Jim. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Anyone opposed, do the same. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Item D, discussion and possible action of interim superintendent. Trustees, as I mentioned, our priority at this time is to find an interim superintendent before we move. And I know we're going to get a lot of questions about when's your next superintendent search and this and that. Well, I believe our priority right now is to find an interim. And the sooner that we do that, we can move forward with the other things that come with that. So we did have a discussion this evening. So is there any questions or any action that would like to be taken?
Mr. President, I'd like to move to authorize the board president and district legal counsel to enter into negotiations with Dr. Steve Flores for the position of Taylor ISD interim superintendent.
Second.
Motion by Anita, second by Cheryl. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Anyone opposed, do the same. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. All right. Item 12, calendar, August 10th, 2023. Back to school for students. Can you believe that? Yeah. All right, August 21st, 2023, our regular board meeting at 7 p.m. September 4th, 2023, Labor Day holiday. And then September 29th through October 1st, 2023 will be our CASB convention in Dallas. All right. Item 13, suggestion of future agenda items or food for thought. All right. Seeing that there are no other business to come before this board, I'm open to a motion to adjourn.
Marcus. Jim had a question.
Jim, you had something? I'm sorry.
September board meeting.
September board meeting? Let me look at our calendar. Yeah. 18th. We can include that in the minutes, September 18th, the regular board meeting. At this time, I'm open to a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Shorty, second by Mary. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 10:41 p.m.
Okay.
All right.
Eight.
Yes.
You know anything about, Saturday? Like, I'm trying to decide, does anybody stay in Saturday night?
Oh, yeah.
I usually do, yes.
Mhm.
I'm staying on
Saturday night.